Hi, welcome to Intuitive Insights podcast. I am your no BS woo woo coach, Megan McDonough, here to help you tune in to your intuitive skills because everybody is intuitive. And today I have an amazing intuitive, more than that, guest. Welcome, Michelle Burke. Michelle is
Hello.
hi. Michelle's a psychic medium. She is a metaphysical educator. She's an author. She has 4 decades of experience in this realm. She does do free readings on TikTok. I'll be sure to put that your account in the notes, the show notes, for everyone to follow you. And Jill covers topics like Reiki healing, shadow work, past life regression, aura photography, which I'm very interested in. She also has, which I'm also very interested in, a psychic detective class, both live and on Zoom. Is that correct, Michelle?
Correct. Yeah.
And then she's also developed several oracle decks. One called Talk to an Angel, another called Chi-Town Shannon. I'm very curious about how that name came about.
Okay.
The Warrior Woman, and then Breaking the Chain, which she uses Breaking the Chain oracle deck in her classes that she teaches. She has authored several books as well. Let's see. The Quest, Breaking the Chain, 30 Days of Healing. Through all of her work, Michelle's mission is to help others discover their own inner light, embrace their metaphysical abilities, as she believes, as do I, we all have them, and find deep healing through the power of our spiritual connection. Welcome,
Thank
Michelle.
you. Thank you. That was a
So
whole mouthful, wasn't
it
it?
was a mouthful. You've done
Mhm.
a lot. You've got
Yeah.
a lot going on here. And I know you said you have another book too that did I not Voices
No,
Within?
there's actually
More?
two that have come out since the last time we chatted.
Right.
One is Ink on Her Soul, and
Mm.
that came out a few months ago. And then just last week came out the sequel, which is Lucian's Fallout. So my first book was metaphysical. That's a story in itself how that came to be. My second one was my memoir with 30 Days of Healing,
Mm.
because there's a lot of memoirs out there, and they're
Hmm.
all about my trials, my tribulations, and all the scars and injuries and damage that's done to you as you're growing up.
Yeah.
But I find memoirs to be just somebody releasing. So I wanted mine to be different, and that's why there's 30 Days of Healing. So it
Yeah.
was like, how did I make it through that? So because didn't want people just to read and be like, oh, that her life sucked.
Yeah.
So here's
Yeah. Oh, well,
so
sorry
let's
for
get something
you.
out of this. So yeah, that's what my
Yeah.
hope was.
How do you
And
transform the pain
yeah,
into something magical?
exactly. And then the last two books have, so the first one's metaphysical, second one's memoir, and the last two are just spicy adult books.
I love that.
It's like that's my fun.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd love your perspective on this because I feel that the more we tap into our own, what I call intuitive as a big blanket statement for all the medical physical abilities that we do own, the more we tap into and connect with that, the more we tap into connect with spirit, source, God, whatever you want to call it, but also into that creative part of self. It
100%.
almost like explodes it out of us, like we can't help but express ourselves in a creative way. Would you
It's
do
like
you
being a child at the playground and you don't know
Yes.
which ride to get on first.
Yes, because that source energy, God energy, is very
Mhm.
playful.
Mhm.
It's very fluid and fun and creative and childlike,
Very much so. Very
curious.
much so. Hmm. Hmm.
And so I'm always curious as to, and I feel like everyone believes they have a sense of intuition, but what that is for each person may not be exactly the same. I feel like there's a thread, but how we define it differently gives a new perspective from this prism that is intuition. So how do you define intuition for yourself?
First, what you said is 100% correct. We are label society. We have to have a label to understand. So, like, my clairaudient, my clairvoyant, what am I? So we have to have a label just because it makes us feel better about ourselves, so that we can understand who we are.
Right.
Um, but it is different for everybody, and the nudges are different for everybody. I used this analogy with my daughter the other day, and she said all I did is make her hungry. So I don't know if it's going to work here. But so, so I tried to explain to her. I said, okay, we have three voices in our head all day long. We have our conscious
Yes,
voice.
three?
Yes, well, three. Well, actually, we have three major. Let's go with three
Yes,
majors,
yeah,
which
3
include
3 are
others.
the
Three
loudest.
majors, right?
Yeah.
So our conscious voice, like this is
Mhm.
the one that says, "I want to go to McDonald's. I'm hungry."
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, and I said, try to explain to her it's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I said, you got the bread here. It's my conscious voice. And you know how to eat your peanut butter and jelly? It's never as thick as the bread, right? It's the thin layer in between there that you can just see. That's our spirit voice, is like the peanut butter and the jelly, because it's not as loud as the other two pieces of bread. Okay. So the more that we pay attention to our that middle voice, and that's the light. That's my angels, my spirit guides. That's my God. That's so when you say more than one, three, yes, but they're all in that middle section. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're the ones that say, don't take Jefferson. And you're like, but I always take Jefferson when I go to McDonald's. Why would I take
Right.
Jefferson?
Right. Right.
Because they're trying to protect me or guide me, that there's something they don't want me to go that way, because
Mhm.
it's a warning, right? So then I have the other piece of bread. That's the dark voice. And that dark
Mhm.
voice is like, no, take Jefferson and, excuse me, I don't know if I can swear here, but fat ass, get 2 cheeseburgers because you're not going to get skinny anyways. So the dark voice, as I listen to it, the more I listen to this last piece of bread, it
Mhm.
turns into Texas toast. It gets
Mhm.
bigger and bigger, which is now shrinking my peanut butter and jelly even more, so that I
Mm.
can't hear it. So
Mhm.
all I'm hearing is the dark voice. The dark voice is what creates animosity, fear, doubt, insecurities. Everything negative is that piece right there. And the more we listen to that piece, it shrinks the peanut butter and jelly. So we don't get to hear our intuitive side. We hear the dark voice. And we have
Mhm.
to have both. We need a yin and yang. But the problem is the dark is so easy to rule us, where the spirit voice is so much more subtle. It's gentle.
Mhm.
So we have a choice of, which one do we listen to? The more we listen to our spirit guides and we those nudges and the feeling in your gut, or your hair goes, raises in the back of your neck. The more we pay attention to those and we acknowledge that we hear those voices, it breaks down that last piece of bread till it's like just the heel of your bread, the loaf. It gets smaller and smaller.
Right. Right.
And then peanut butter jelly becomes stacked on there. And that's eventually I live now with just my conscious voice and my spirit voice.
Right.
Don't get me wrong.
You
Occasionally,
hunt carb free.
yes, almost carb free. Yeah, that's it. I'm
I've
gonna tell
gone
my daughter.
Atkins with my peanut butter jelly.
I know. After I explained to my daughter, she goes, "Now I just want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, mom. Thanks." Okay. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that went right over your head. Okay.
Well, that's true. I haven't heard it explained that way before, and I like that a lot because it's again, it's
I should
another
write a book.
it's
I want
another
more peanut butter and jelly.
Burn Jones. It's another perspective from the prism that
Yes.
is this
Yes.
metaphysical space
Yeah.
that we
Mhm.
all. I feel like so when I look at it, it's like so we have our physical self, that is rooted in that dark voice,
Mhm.
because it's rooted in fear, because it's transient. If you're not transient, you don't have to fear being extinct because you're not going to be. You're
Mhm.
eternal.
Yeah.
And that soul voice is eternal. So it
Yeah.
doesn't own fear. It doesn't have any fear attached to it. I wish I knew where I was going with that.
It was beautiful though, whatever it was.
It started so good. I'm telling you, this perimenopause is like we mix that with my ADHD, and it's like I can't even. You know what it is? When I was younger, I forgot what the hell I was saying and just bullshit my way until I figured out some kind of end. But now with the perimenopause, I just don't even care. I'll just say no. I have no idea what I'm talking about. So I started on that road.
Yeah.
It was. I'm
It
telling
was it was good.
you,
It was good.
people listening, people watching. It was going somewhere beautiful.
Yeah.
And
It
if it
was.
it may come back.
Yeah.
It
And
may
they should just use their intuition to figure out what you were saying.
exactly.
The hell?
I should just do, like, a podcast to, like, try and figure out what I'm saying, like a pre-dementia podcast.
Finish my thoughts and it'll be beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. Where was I going with that? Oh my goodness. I don't know. So I'm gonna ask you my second question.
Okay. Somehow we'll bring it all back around.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
all come back together. That's all right. We're flowing. Which is and I know you have a pretty profound story on this, so I don't know how much you wanna explore it today. My second question is usually how, if you take that intuition, how do you use it in your life, right? But how do you use it in your life? Yes, but even more so, what prompted you to start using it more in your life?
It started there's a lot of different books that you're going to read, and some will tell you. And I always say that I didn't create any of this. I'm just reinventing things that I've learned, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of books that you'll read will talk about how intuition can be sparked and due to trauma. called trauma intuition,
Mm.
where it boosts, it gives you that kick and that boost because it's almost like the spirit world knows, oh crap, she just went through a whole bad bunch of something. She needs some light. So we're jumping in right now. We need to talk to her loud and
Mm.
clear. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's trauma intuitive. Others are just are open to it and interested in it, which also it's kind of like turning up the volume. So they connect more. And the rest of the world that doesn't connect with one or two, they all think they're just arguing with themselves in their own head every day. And they don't understand that they're not.
Mhm.
It's not you
Mhm.
you're fighting
Mhm.
with in your head.
Right, they can't distinguish and
Right.
discern what the
So for me, my
they
first
can't
it was
distinguish the
interesting
bread
because my
from the grain
first
berry. Yeah.
yeah, my first excuse me, that usually happens when somebody steps into my room that has crossed over because they were choking or had something down their like tubes down their throat. So I
Huh.
don't know who, if it's somebody connected
Pas
to
de
me, but
moi? Tubes down their throat.
yeah, so they're trying to cut off my speech, just to get my attention. But I'll get things like that all the time. Like all of a sudden, my nose will start running in a crowd of people, and I didn't realize I'm around an addict. That's just code for
Mm.
them. Like we got an addict in the room, pay attention. So yeah, so they use my body a lot to make me feel things around people,
Mm.
which can be very annoying. But so as far as for me, I want to say mine was trigger. It was trauma triggered. But the ironic part about it is it literally started the day before the trauma. So
Hmm.
mine was
Interesting.
my yeah, because we had my family and I, it was my father, my sister, my grandma, we went on vacation. It was our first night on vacation. And my father was leaving to go meet his brother. They were going to go out. And I begged him not to go. I knew I wasn't going to see him again. And I literally was crying and begging, said, please don't go, please don't go. And he's like, I'll be back, Shelly, I'll be back. And I'm like, but you won't. And I woke up in the morning and he was gone. He didn't even make it to the bar that they were going to. He died on the road. So that was the beginning for me. That's when like the answers were like she needs it right now. So they started communicating first through insects. I mean, and it always sounds ridiculous, but Michelle's Quest talks about the first voice I ever distinguished different than my own voice. So it wasn't even my own voice in my mind. It was a completely different voice. Was I was walking and I almost stepped on an ant and I heard it say, "Don't step on me." And my foot was stuck in the air and I looked down and there's a little ant looking at me and he didn't seem so little looking at me, and he's like, "I just wanna go home." And I, like, moved my foot, like, "Okay, so sorry." And after that point, it was very hard for me to walk because I'm always watching my feet to make sure I don't step on things. And the next thing you know, it's raining out and the worms are all hitting the streets, and I'm running the streets trying to pick up all the worms to get them back to the side of the street so they don't get hit by cars. So it's very traumatic as a child to try to control all the little creatures. And then I realized I could hear the trees talk to me, and then I could hear the squirrels talk to me. So it started with nature. Yeah, because yeah,
You
I know.
just reminded me I gotta tell you this, this is so ridiculous. It just reminded me of something, but so when I was young, probably like 5, 6, 7, something like
I
that.
was 6. Mhm.
Right. There was a dog named Happy on our block, and then we had a big tree in front of our house, and we were getting I'm pretty sure we are getting ready to go to school, and I grew up in Springfield, Illinois, so, that big mecca. So, I was, for sure gonna be discovered as a singer, actress, whatever, on my small street in a random part of town in
I
Springfield.
was gonna be an actress
Yeah. Were you?
in my mind.
Well, yeah, I am. So I think it's still in my mind too. But so I was outside, I was always singing, making up songs, like about like how I was feeling, which is ironic because I'm not a big musical fan, but that's exactly
Okay.
what those are. So I was like, oh, today is gonna be beautiful, whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
And the squirrel kinda turned and started looking at me. And then Happy, the dog, came over and started barking, and then we were, like, singing together. And I was like, "Oh my god, we're all communicating." And my mom came outside, and she was like, "Stop singing, get in the car, let's go." And I was like, "But we're talking, we're communicating." She's like, "Shut up, get in the car, we're late." I was like, "Oh, okay." But I
Yeah.
I had this moment where I was
A
like,
connection.
"Oh, a
Yeah.
Saint Francis of Assisi right there."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I had to write a note when you said that because I truly believe like stuff like that when you said you're never really much into musicals, I truly believe that's something you brought from a past life. So you
Really?
had that yeah, so that's how we get these little nudges like, "I wanna be," or "I wanna do," and then we're doing it, we're like,
Well,
"I
that
really
is
was never meant to
I've heard
be."
before. Yeah,
And
like,
so
it
it's like
was
you yeah,
something happened, I was a performer this is what I've heard a couple of times, something happened, I was a performer, and it
you're good.
stopped me from continuing to perform, so that does ring true, I have heard that before.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, you carried it with you and you're like, "Oh, I always tell people when you get those random nudges, like "Oh, I should go take a pottery class." And you're like thinking to yourself, "Why would I take a pottery class? I've never been interested in pottery." And this is actually what happened to me.
Yeah.
So I took the pottery class with my husband, like, okay, had a great time and left. And I was like, okay, I hope you're happy. We did it for you. But it was something I believe from a past life that was like, "Ah, can we go get our hands in some pottery?" And I was like, okay, we'll do it. But hope you're content with it, which actually was really funny because
Yeah.
guess who we ended up meeting the day of the pottery class was Dolly Parton
Stop it. Where?
in Lamont, downtown Lamont. She was filming The Last Dance right next
Seriously?
to the pottery place. Yeah.
Well,
And
that's
they were
one
taking
pottery
out,
place.
I know, they were taking her out the back door and we had our door wide open. And
Yeah.
she's like, "Hello, y'all."
Very good, Dolly Parton.
Thank you very much. I was gonna be an actress in a past life.
Oh my god. Yes. Yes, I have always had this thing, like, I think when I'm older, I'm gonna be like, I've had this vision that I'm gonna have, like, some kinda as I re like, I never think about retirement, that sounds boring to me,
Yeah.
you know?
No.
Like, so I always like, well
I'm gonna work my way right into the
yeah,
grave.
exactly. Just because, like, to me, work is something
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
love, not something
Yeah.
you do, which is
100%.
probably
Yeah.
this probably is very, mean that's telling. So, but I started to I actually have pottery right here on my floor.
No shit.
I do. And because I started, like, playing around with, like, air dry clay because 'cause I'm like, I can't get into, like, a kiln and all that crap.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I
That's
want to.
crazy that we just brought that up though. Isn't that kind of strange how
Isn't
the
that funny?
universe
I know,
like
I literally have a
talk about our
pile
pottery?
there. And I just, like and I got, like, real into it for, like, a couple of months this summer where I was just like, "If I don't get my hands in some clay right now, like, I'm gonna lose my mind." And then I was like, "This is definitely not a new ADHD phase."
No, no.
It totally
It's
was. But
an old it's no, but it no, but it
it's
is.
like, I know I'm
It's
gonna go there at some point in my
but
life.
it's resin from the past because do you know how many different things I've got into. I sat down with like my bracelets that I have. I've
Yeah.
sold hundreds and hundreds of crystal bracelets, and I think with last count because after we did inventory from the last event, I still have 400 that I still have left to sell after selling probably about 800 of them. So like I had my crystal bracelets, I had my crystal
Yeah,
bracelets.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, and then I had to start making candles, and I had to make candles. And I don't believe that this is part of our. I think part of what AD like being ADD because that's what I am. I
Yeah.
think that's part of literally just having too much connection to the past. Where
Well, yes, I also think it's like I believe we're very good yes-anders. And so and the intuitive,
Mhm,
spirit realm is very fluid, right?
mhm,
And it comes and pops up.
mhm.
Whereas, like, say, quote unquote neurotypical, and I am not a doctor, so this isn't, whatever, but this is just my experience perspective, is that a neurotypical person will see that like visual or hear that voice or whatever, and they will align with that Texas toast part of the bread
Yeah,
and say, "That's bullshit, get it away. Why would that pop up?" And then they're in this thing of like, "Why is this get away? You make
yeah,
no sense."
yeah.
Whereas we don't like making sense.
No, we'd like to
And
fly.
so
Yeah,
we're like, "Whoa, where does that
yeah,
go? What's this
yeah,
do?"
yes,
And we
yes,
just yes and it,
yes,
and then that's just and
100%.
that keeps us open and curious and connected. I also feel, and this is just a personal thought, that a lot of the neuro divergent emergence that's coming through right now, people identifying or understanding or knowing that there's more identity of neurodivergent brains coming into this earth are to help us as humanity
Shake us
elevate
up.
towards that
Mhm.
higher connection
Yeah,
of the energetic side, the spirit side of
yeah.
ourselves.
Get out of the tar is what I tell people all the time. Get out of the tar, you're stuck. You
Y
need to get out of the tar. We
Yes, it's funny you say that because when I see depression and fear, either fear or depression, it comes across to me as a black tar.
yeah, you're stuck.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't ascribe colors to any other emotions except for I have
Yeah,
gray, brown, and black. That's it.
interesting. Yeah.
'Cause, like, gray is confusion, to me, brown is doubt, and black is fear or depression.
I see red too, like, when I see around people that are very angry.
Well, yeah, that's true, I do see that sometimes too.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
as an aura,
It's
but,
really hard because I don't it's funny you're saying that because I'm having to think about colors, and a color I never see, which is interesting, is orange or yellow.
I do see those sometimes.
I don't, but I also think part of it has to do with my own personal scars, injuries, and perception.
Well, that is 3rd
So
and
sometimes
2nd
we get
chakra if
so
you align that, and
yeah. So
yeah,
sometimes it's like because we can't see things because we're seeing it through our own story instead of their story, which is interesting.
yes. And
I'll tell
actually,
people all the time, clean your glasses. I'm like, clean your
yes,
glasses. You're not seeing things
that's
right.
exactly what I was just gonna say, and I
Yeah.
wanted to actually talk to you because
Because
I
I'm psychic. I knew that.
yeah, so I wanted to ask you, I thought about this popped into my head the other day, and I was like, "Huh, interesting." And it popped into my head again now, so we're gonna talk about it. How do you discern, and how have you discerned so a couple things here. So I wrote this down, like, how do you discern,
The
well, first
voices.
of all, how do you experience your whatever you wanna call it, Claire's psychic abilities, metaphysical abilities,
Hmm.
intuition? How do you experience them? And then how have you learned to discern them as different pieces of bread or peanut butter and jelly?
Okay. I'll start with the first part. So as you can see, like when I was drinking the water, like before I had to drink the water because something was closing
Yes.
off. Okay.
Yes.
So a lot of times when I'm around people or I'm in a session with somebody, I literally will feel my body. They will let me feel it.
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
will feel your backache. My hip's gonna hurt. They're gonna let me feel it, but they don't. I don't have to keep it. But I notice until I get them to acknowledge it,
Mhm.
they're gonna keep
Yeah.
poking me like, "Come
Yep,
on,
yep,
Michelle,
yep,
get
yep.
them to say it." And then I'm like, "Okay, you
Feel
can
it till
stop.
it
I feel
leaves.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can feel you. You can stop that." So some of it is physical. Some
I
of
call
it,
that the feel.
huh?
I call that the feel.
Yeah, I don't like that sometimes. I'm like, "Okay, you can stop." Like, yeah. Other ways um, that my intuition kicks in is besides the physical aspect of it and like feeling people's trauma, how they cross or the last thing they remember before they cross, they'll experience the like when I do a reading, I literally will feel a lot of physical stuff hitting me.
Mhm.
And then I can go to the seeing, like I see you phase and I hear you phase. So they start talking to me. And it's really kind of funny because I've had this happen a lot this week. I don't know if it's just because of where everything's lining up in the universe right now, but I've had a lot of, I call them smart ass spirits where they just think they're funny. And I don't mean in a bad
Oh my
way.
god. That's so funny you say that because I was and this actually happened right before I got your text yesterday.
Okay.
Because I was, like, laying down, I was like, "Oh, I hope she was okay with rescheduling," because I had a bad headache yesterday, and we were supposed to record, and a friend of mine who's crossed over, who I haven't seen in a long t or, I haven't thought
Hmm.
of in a long time. Oh my god, I just remembered this. She came to me, and I started laughing out loud. I was just like, "Why am I even" I didn't even know what I didn't even know what we were laughing
Yeah.
about, but it was like
Yeah.
I was really laughing, and then she was trying to show me something, which I have to now look into because I forgot about that.
This
Um,
is probably why we just had this. I love when we have a conversation with somebody and it brings a bell of something that we kind of just put under the rug and it's like, oh crap, take it back out from under the rug
yeah.
because I'm supposed to deal with that. Yeah.
Yes, I was like, "Ooh, I will look into that," and then I forgot.
Yeah.
So I'm glad
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for that.
No problem.
Okay,
But
so
no,
then
but so sometimes, and it's funny because I had somebody not that long ago who had said that it's so funny because when I read somebody, I take somebody's, I don't know if I have any in here. I take somebody's full name and the reason
yes,
why is because, and I know we
do
talked
that
about
too.
this.
Yes, yep,
Yeah. So then it starts telling me a story about them. So I just literally start like scribbling, right?
yes,
And then and then
yes,
I have to figure out what the heck I wrote, which is the hard part. Um, yeah. So, but somebody said to me, she goes, "It's so cool to watch you work," and
oh, interesting, yeah.
I was like, and she goes, "No, between your facial expressions, your snickers, and it's because I'm having these full blown conversations with them in my
Right,
head."
right.
And they're just watching me, and I'm like, I must really look kind of ridiculous to be honest with you, because like
And
here's this
so
lady.
what?
I know,
Honestly, it's like
but so that's this the other phase of it. Now,
yeah. Okay.
eh,
So
uh,
you see, now I want to go back to this. So when you
yes,
see, this is what I want to clarify for those who, because I ran into this with someone recently and, who had somebody cross over and that person came to me. And this is how I explain it. And tell me if you have a different perspective on this. That when someone crosses over and the person's attention that they want to get for the message they want to give is resistant to listening, right? They
say
find
it
that,
again. Say it again.
so let's say, let's call it
Okay.
Janie, all right?
Okay.
Janie's friend Jill crossed over.
Yes.
I am
Yes.
terrible when I do this, but anyway,
Hello, Jen.
Janie's
Okay.
friend Jill crossed over.
Okay.
Jill has a message for Janie, but
Yes.
Janie doesn't really believe that she can hear Jill because she's not seeing Jill and Jill's
Yes.
gone.
Yes. Yes.
So
I
Jill
got it.
goes, all right, who can I talk to
Yes.
who is closest to Janie and will deliver this message for me?
100%.
Who can hear me that I can get her to hear
Yes.
me?
That's what I explain to people when okay, so I tell people before I read them, there's 3 circles that they can
Yeah.
show me if they choose to.
Yeah.
The first circle is they will tell me and share stuff with me just to validate I'm talking to your person.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. The second circle is family, friends, and associates. I call it a dial up. Once they know that the veil is up and they're like, yo,
Yeah.
Michelle can hear me,
They rush in.
they're like, jump in because I got to get a hold of Susie next door.
Right, right.
So, so I'm going to be telling you something. It's
I wanna
interesting.
know who this guy is.
I know because they're like irritating me. Like, that's why I'm like, all right, stop. So they're telling me something. I'm gonna say, and I'll tell the sitter, I'm like, okay, if I say something and you're like, well, I don't know who that's for, I'm gonna be like, I want you to hold this because you're gonna have a conversation with somebody else. And then I swear to God, 9 out of 10 times, I get a text message that says, oh my God, I was talking to Johnny down the street, and he was like, don't you remember Susie? Because he needed to hear the message. If she just dismissed it and didn't have a conversation, then Susie's up there going, here we go again. I gotta wait for the next round. Then the third circle is if they choose to, they can share with me somebody's physical, mental, or spiritual state of mind that's sitting in front of me.
Yes, that's true. Yes,
Yeah.
that is true. Yeah. So this is the other thing I wanna say, because like, so when I was dealing with someone who was trying to connect with the person who crossed over, who did come to me, and I was, and I was like, it's always hard to know how open people are to that kind of message if you're not super close. So, I had been getting messages on and off, and I was telling the person who was wanting the message, because not only do I feel like it's something that I want for whatever this is that I'm
Hmm.
doing, but also I felt like was part of what they wanted as well, the
Hmm.
crossed over person, was for them to be able to connect and
Yeah.
communicate with them.
Yeah.
So we had a couple things, and this person was like, I'm not getting it. I'm super intuitive and I'm not seeing it." And I was like, "Well, it's not gonna happen like Obi-Wan Kenobi is gonna come in front of you. Like, it's not like." So my question is to you, because for me, it could be a thought.
Hmm.
Like,
That's all.
my friend, thinking of my friend, I could have yesterday in bed, I could have gone, "Oh, that's funny, I thought of my friend."
Right.
But
Yeah.
she visited me. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's the
They don't,
difference.
yes. And I tell people all the time, they don't, you didn't just randomly think of your friend.
That's right.
They literally are pushing themselves into your mind.
That's
They're
right.
like, hello, hello.
And you
And
know
that's
that
why they
because they
pop in
don't
our head.
stop,
Huh?
because they don't stop. Like, that's
No.
you know.
Hello,
Yeah,
hello.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like I call it a poke, like, to keep
Yeah,
poking at
yeah,
you
yeah,
until you
yeah.
pay attention. Like, "All right, I got you." Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, so for you, for that, so yeah, is it something that pops to your mind, or
So
yeah,
during so mo like, because I work I've gotten really bad about this part of my life now. I try to stay out of stores as much as possible. I spend way too much money door dashing and Amazoning because I don't wanna be in the crowd anymore.
yeah,
Because when I was younger,
yes,
it
yes,
didn't bother
yes,
me so much, but there's so much noise in a store. But I also work in a building that in a beauty school in Lamont and then a nail school in Joliet, where there's like 50 students in one building, and I always say nobody came out of those doors on accident. They have all of their traumas and hurts and pains, and they bring them in there for healing, and it's not just for the trade itself. Sometimes that I have to be very careful when I walk in those doors to keep the veil down because 'cause I'm like, "Okay,
yes,
just keep it down." Unfortunately, sometimes when it comes to spirit, they don't like the veil being down, and just like I always picture it like, when you pull your shade down
yeah,
and it
yeah,
flops back up.
yeah, you're like,
So I pull it down when I'm
so
done with my work, and I close it like we're closing the
yeah,
shade, and
exactly,
then occasionally I'll be walking and they whip it back up, and I'm like, "I'm closing the shade." But there's times where like, "No, this is important, Michelle, hear me." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess we're working." After I do a reading, I don't it's gone. But whatever happened in that reading, it's gone. I only remember pieces of it when it was like, "Holy crap, that was wild. Holy crap, that was weird."
right,
And then I remember those. And I actually said I was gonna start writing them down because I knew they dissipate after a while. But
and
my husband is the one who reminded me of this situation. We were in Alabama. It was me, him, and my daughter. And we were at a restaurant and the veil, and I'm pulling it down, it's going back up, and it's a gentleman. And if it wasn't for my husband be telling the story to my neighbor, I would have been like, I was like, that's really what happened. And he's like, yeah, it was crazy. So I was like, oh crap, there's somebody here, and he's pointing at this table of 4 ladies. And he wants me to go talk to them. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not working. Stop. So trying to pull the veil down, and this is the part I don't remember. My husband's telling me, he goes, "Yeah." And then she goes to the bathroom, and she comes back, and she's like, "Okay, now he's following me in the bathroom." And so he's like, and my daughter's like, "Oh, here we go, mom. Oh, here we go."
You mean like you're saying that the crossed over person was following you?
They were following me, and they were, like, poking me, like, "You have to do this, you have to
Right,
tell
right.
her something," and I'm like, "I'm not doing it, I'm not working,
Mhm,
I'm not intruding on somebody's lunch dinner here, okay?
mhm.
They don't know me." And so he wasn't gonna stop, and then my husband tells the neighbor, she goes, and then all of a sudden Michelle's like, "Okay, stop, I will go over there." So I don't remember what was happening and transpiring between him and I up until that point, but I do remember walking to this table with the 4 ladies sitting there, and, there's so much ethical,
Yes, yes,
backlash on this. So if you are going to do that, you must make sure that you tell them who you are, what you are, and are they open to hear? Because you
yes.
can't just walk up and blurt it out.
Amen.
So I walked up and I explained who I am. I'm Michelle. I'm a psychic medium, and I have somebody here is trying to get you a message really bad, and I'm really sorry. And I was really waiting for him to throw holy water at me. I'm like, I'm really, really sorry, but if I don't tell you this, he's not going to stop. Do you want the message? And they were like looking at me like, okay. And I don't even remember what the message was, but I do remember the reaction. I
Mm,
remember the ladies started crying. And
mhm,
they said, "You don't know how bad we needed to hear that today. It's the
mhm.
anniversary of his crossing. That's why we're here."
Oh,
So he just wanted them, and I don't even know what the message was, but it was like, kind of like, let them know I know, let them know. And so then after that, then he went away, and I was like, okay, I can finish my dinner now.
yeah. Yeah, and that's okay, so I wrote a couple things down that I wanted to say too, but off that, to me, like, that makes me wanna cry because it's like, that's the magic.
100%.
I have a little saying, "Make magic today," but it's mostly just like, be open to it because it's there, and if you look for it, you see it everywhere, you
I
know?
remember one time I was getting a massage,
Mm.
and I could hear this woman in my head saying, Just say Peterson, Peterson." And I'm lying there, and I'm like, I'm not saying Peterson. And
Mm.
she wouldn't stop. She's like, "Say Peterson." I'm like, "Nope, not doing it. They're gonna think I'm crazy." Finally, she wouldn't stop, and I finally said, "Does the name Peterson mean something to you?" And she stopped massaging me, and she goes, "That's my grandma's name." I
Mm.
said, "She just wants you to know she's here. Can we finish my massage now?" Like, does it always gotta be about you guys? Can I have my massage?
I know. Well, okay, so on that, like, how do you like, we talked a little bit about it, you got your curtain,
Mhm.
energetic curtain, but there are, like, ER issues sometimes where they're
Yep.
like, "This is an after hours
Yeah.
call, and
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
we have authority over
Yeah.
your physical being."
Yeah. I had a friend of mine, and her brother, he had crossed, and there was always questions about his crossing.
Mm,
And he would come to me so much at nighttime, and I would be like, "Let me call her." And I'd be like, "Okay, he's here. Alright, let's go." And I would just
yeah.
keep, "Let's go, let's keep going." And then but it was like he knew and this went on for months where, like, a couple times a week, he would use me to talk to her.
Mhm.
And then, finally, it just kind of he quieted down, and I think he quieted down because he's like, "I think I gave her enough to give her peace. She
Yeah,
just needed to keep talking to me, and I gave her enough. Now she should be able to start healing."
yeah, and
And
then
then
she
he
could talk
stopped.
to him, she could talk to
Yeah,
them,
exactly.
I wrote this down, those weird sticky things that stick with you?
Uh-huh.
I wanted to ask your opinion on this or your insights on this. Do you think that those things, those weird sticky things that stick with you because they're also meant for you?
Maybe some of them, but
You know
some
what I
of
mean?
them are just because they're weird.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I
Fair enough.
was
Fair enough.
I I was doing a gallery reading once. And it was and and I was talking to my spirit guides on the way there because I'm like, listen, and I have this conversation with them every time I do a gallery. Listen, there is going to be 47 grandparents in there. So if you guys are going to try to come through, I need you to be really specific because
Yeah.
I cannot be like somebody's grandfather's here and them all raise their hand. I need specifics, guys. Work with me. Don't play with me. So I got to this gallery, and and a sister had come through, and of course, a couple people raised their hands. So I'm like, keep talking to me, honey. We need to break this down. I told you specifics. And so she got me blonde hair. Now we're down to two people. And I'm like, keep going, keep going. She threw out a couple more things. And it was almost like she was being funny because it was still aligning. And I'm like, I need more because they
Mhm.
both wanted it to be their person.
Right.
They wanted it.
Of course.
And so I'm looking at the floor because I'm like just concentrating. And I went blind. I couldn't see. Scared the crap out of me. I'm blinking several times like I can't see. And so then all of a sudden I looked up and my eyesight came back. And I said, I don't know what happened to her eyes, but she took my eyesight away from me. And then the one sister started bawling, and I felt so bad because she said, we donated my sister's eyes.
My
And she's like, "Does that mean she's blind in heaven now?" I said, "No, but she took my eyesight just so I knew which one it was."
Oh my god, that's so funny. But that's the thing, it's like it's takes a different type of brain, and I think that's why I'm feeling this neurodivergent connection to the energetic work, is to understand that it is not the same framework of our physical world,
Not at all.
you know? I mean, it's not because I don't see you doesn't mean you're not there. It's not, you
I
know?
love the spiritual world more than I like the earth world, I'll
It's
be
so much
honest
more
with you.
fun, and it's so much
Yeah.
more positive,
Yeah.
and it's
It's
just
love. Yeah.
it's just straight love. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
I have to tell you something funny about that gallery because that's what when he said to stick with you because as we concluded that it was hers, I have this man over my corner of the side of me, and he's doesn't have any teeth in. And if you've ever seen somebody who talks with no
Yes.
teeth,
Yeah.
when with come from like muscle,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he's talking like that next to me, and I turn my head, and there's ladies on the side of me. I go, "Who buried their husband without his teeth?" And the lady goes, "I did. I didn't think it'd make a difference." And I said, "It did." So then he said to tell her, he goes, "Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't just donate it to the Goodwill like she did the rest of my stuff."
Oh my god.
And she goes, "I was going to, but I didn't know if they would take them."
Oh my god, that is
I said, "Would you just go bury his teeth outside, please? Just go bury them."
that's
It
hilarious.
was. So that one will ever stick for me because I will ever see that man flapping his jaws in my ear. Yeah.
And it's funny too how they and it to me, I see it more like energy, right? Like
Mhm.
personality energy.
Yeah.
You know, like it has a feeling to it, it has a
Yeah.
pace to it, it
That's
has
a majority of mine. A large majority is like that.
yeah.
But then then they show me their physical side and their traits, and those are fun too. But majority of it is, yes, feeling and energy. They make me smile, or I feel like their sadness from when they were earthbound. Or did I tell you the one about the elderly lady that I read? I don't know if we talked about this the last time.
Mm.
And and when I say elderly, like I'm elderly, but she's like could be my grandma elderly. Okay, so like I'm a great grandma, so she could be a greater great
Oh, you're
grandma.
a
I don't
great
know.
grandma? Oh, we did talk
Three
about
times, yeah. I got 18 grandchildren.
insane, insane.
So she's sitting here, and all of a sudden her best friend came through, but her best friend came through with pink go-go boots on. Now, let's think about this. She's a great grandma. Okay. So I'm like thinking conservative type. My grandma, I couldn't see my grandma hanging out with somebody with go-go boots because she was
Yeah,
always an old person to me, right?
right, right,
So I'm like, okay, she's showing me pink boots, and I'm trying to be really careful how I word things.
right, right.
She's showing me pink boots, and she starts laughing. She goes, "That would make sense for my friend." And I was like, "Dang, okay, cool friend."
Yeah.
Well, then and this is how they talk to you in codes and symbols. So I said, next to her is a dog, and she's patting the dog's head. And the lady says that doesn't mean anything to me. And so I'm watching her, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And
Mhm.
she
Yeah,
says,
yeah.
Man's best friend." And I'm like, "She's telling me man's best friend." And she's like, "No, it's not making any sense." So I'm watching, I'm like, and she's laughing about it, like she's playing with me. And I'm like, "Okay, what are we doing here?"
Right,
And
yeah.
she literally said, "Who's man's best friend?" And I was like, "Oh, snap." I said, "Okay." So I'm like, "How do I word this?" So I said, "Did did your friend like to date a lot? Because who's man's best friend but a woman?" I go,
Yeah,
"Did she date a lot?"
yeah.
And she goes, "Yeah, she had over 100 lovers by the time she was 30, and she was very proud of that." Because I could not say, "Your friend was a hoe." So I couldn't say that. So I was like, "How do I put this out there?" Very gently to a grandma. I
Your
said,
friend's telling me she's a hoe.
"She's a hoe," but I don't know how to say that. So she's laughing at me and like she knew she put me in an awkward position.
Oh my god,
And
that's
so her,
so
but
funny.
yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Man's best friend is a hoe.
Oh my god, that is so
It's
funny.
not a dog.
It's not a dog.
Not a dog. It's a hoe.
Oh my god, that is really funny. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, you said, talk in codes and symbols, and yes, that's the thing that I was trying to communicate with this other person I was telling you about before, and just like, if you see a butterfly and they're hanging out too long, that could be them, you know?
100%. Yeah.
So, how do you interpret that, you know?
So back decades ago, I went to the library and I bought a book on, what signs and symbols mean in the spiritual world.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I don't see that. I don't see those.
Mhm, mhm.
And then I realized that book was wrote because that's what they saw. So don't go buy a book, people,
That's right.
because you are shown signs and symbols because of your own life story. So what would you relate to? So that's what they're going to use to talk to you.
Mhm,
For example, if I'm reading somebody and I hear the word Nana,
mhm.
all it doesn't mean that grandma's name was Nana, that they called her Nana. It's a code for me. I had a nickname or a name other than my government name. just so you know which one it is.
Mm,
So,
mhm.
like, I was born Michelle, they call me Shelly as a little girl. When I became a grandma, I became a Nana. So that's their code for me, like, "Ooh, this grandma had a different name."
Right, right.
So, if I see horses, it means 2 things to me. I grew up around horses, and I also had a Mustang. So the first time I saw horses, I asked the sitter, "Does horses mean something?" And they said, "No," and they honed in on one particular horse, and I go, "That's a Mustang." So then I'm like, "Wait a minute, there's a Mustang involved in this?" And she's like, "Yes, there was a Mustang." So they use the horses to give me it's either four-legged or four wheels. So
Mhm.
I have to if you don't know the first one, then I'm gonna throw out the second one, what it means to me.
Yeah.
So we do all have our own signs and symbols. And the thing is that people dismiss them. Oh, I always see a red cardinal. Okay. And that's usual for your area or
Yeah.
no, just around my yard. Okay. Maybe that's something you should think about.
Right,
So like
right.
November, I always have a cardinal that visits me outside of my window. And I know it's my grandma's when she passed.
Mm,
And around November, she visits me several times. And every once in a while she'll flicker in randomly. And it's like, oh, hello, you're here.
yeah.
So yeah, so we all have our own. You just have to the one thing I tell students all the time is that when you want to connect to your spirit guides and your angels, you start off with an angel journal because it's literally your way of saying, I hear you. And you
Yes.
write down those encounters. You write down what did that cardinal mean to you? Who did you think of? Who popped in your head when you saw that?
And
And
how did
start
it make you feel, you know?
yes, what you write your own code book,
Right.
and it's in songs. And literally, I had this conversation about songs and how spirit talks to me in words and songs. And we had left dinner, and I got a message from her. And she goes, "It's so crazy. You said that." I got in the car, and a certain song came on, and it was so related to a situation. And I'm like, they will use anything they can to get our attention. It's like, "Hello, you dumb human,
Yeah, it's true.
pay attention." Yeah.
Yeah, I was, like, in yogic philosophy, there's all the senses become distractions for the mind, because the senses pull us more into the tangible world, into the
Mhm. Yeah.
illusion, Maya, which
Yeah.
ironically seems the tangible seems like it should be the finite,
Mhm.
but it's the transient, and the infinite is the illusion.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah. If
Um,
we stayed out of our own way, our
yeah.
lives would be so much more spiritual.
Yeah, connected,
Yeah. We
period.
get in the way of it. Yeah.
Yeah, our separation, and that is the separation, that is the compartmentalization. When you say, like, is it this psychic or that psychic or what how which player am I using, why does it matter? It's a
100%. That's what I mean. Yeah.
marketing thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to talk about with it, wherever I went off rails at the beginning, is that it's all under the same umbrella, and as long as that umbrella doesn't house the energy or subs frequencies of fear,
Mhm.
then it's all the same
100%.
in love. Okay, now, Michelle,
Yes.
I know you do a lot of events for those,
Yes.
listening who are in the Chicagoland area. What do you have coming up? And, I'll put all your information down. You have the live TikTok readings, you have your books, your oracle cards, all of that will be your website will be in the show note. But, what's the next thing for you?
Friday, let's see, Friday night, I will be at the Gathering Lighthouse in Lombard, doing a psychic detective class. And it's one of my favorite classes because not only do we start off like, and it's not just seasoned people that come to this class. It's also people who are just curious. It's kind of fun. It's like
Yeah,
you like to watch cop
play.
shows. It's
Yeah.
a cop show. Let's come play. Let's see what you pick up.
Tell me
So
tell
there's
me about that. What do you guys do? Yeah.
So it starts off with where I'll have 2 pictures on the screen. We'll do one and then we'll do the other. And we talk about and let our bodies feel the difference of presence between both of those pictures. Is it a heavier presence? Is it a light presence? Are they crossed or are they earthbound? So to
Mm,
look to understand to listen to your body, pay attention to what you feel when you're with these 2 different faces, right? Then we do the who done it, guilty or innocent. We'll go through a series of a couple more pictures. Look at this picture. Were they guilty? Were they innocent? Did they commit a crime or not? So you're basically the judge and the jury. Then we go to the live case. So every class we have a live case that we're working on. It's either somebody's lost a loved one or somebody who crossed over and the family's questioning how they crossed. We
mm,
will only take live cases if we have a family member that will participate. Because there's
mhm.
no point if we can't have somebody to validate what we're seeing.
Right, right.
So at the end of the class, we will and we will have everybody will look at the picture, we'll know their name. The students will all be writing down their notes, but they're picking up from this. Then we let the person come in if they're local, they come in the building, or they come up on Zoom with us. The class does their readings and then they get to validate. After a class is over, we have a Facebook page just for the students who have taken this class. We upload that so all previous students can also add their feedback and we add the family to that. So if something new comes up, that they can add it to that. So
Mm,
that's Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. It is $35 for that class.
mhm,
On Saturday, I will be at the Barnes and Nobles in Orland Park with my book signing, so you can come meet me there. That's from 3 to 5.
mhm.
And then Sunday, I will be at the Oral Health and Holistic Building in Aurora. That's really a mouthful all the time.
It doesn't that is a
Aurora in Aurora. I will be there from 2 to 4. I'd have to pull it up to be sure.
Mhm.
We're going to be doing introduction to pendulum. So if you take any of my
Yeah,
pendulum
wonderful.
classes, you get a free pendulum. We're going to have some grids to work on. Um, because of the fact we're rearing down the year, most of the classes between now and December are fun classes. Like
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
going to make some chakra candles in December, doing some oils. So stuff that you can even gift to give away to somebody if you
Yeah,
want to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So yeah,
Um, I so love talking with you
I
and
love talking to you too.
connecting. I'm so glad we connected, and I do feel like we will continue to connect.
100%.
You've got a lot going on, and I love it all.
I do
So
too.
doing
I'm loving life.
yeah,
I
it's
am. I'm loving life.
all
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and I will see you in a couple of weeks. And
Oh, wait, one more thing.
yeah,
February, and I
yep,
don't know when in February, but I'm very excited about this. I was
yes,
invited by
yes,
a church to come and speak at the church. They're trying to bridge the gap between Christianity and
yes,
spirituality. So they're going
yes.
to have me come and speak to the congregation. And it's the first time I've been invited to a church after being ostracized from mine
Mm,
to actually, which I can't even tell you how excited I am to do that.
yeah.
It's like we slowly need to incorporate our worlds because they are all the same. So I'm very excited about that. That's in Woodstock at the Unity Spiritual Church.
Yes, that's a good
It's
one.
in
That's
February. Yeah,
because they should be connected.
100%.
I heard this thing, I'll share this and then but, that spirituality is going to the self-service tank at the gas station and religion is
Interesting.
going to the full service.
Interesting. Huh. I
So,
like that.
putting them together would be nice.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Alright, thank you, have a great day, make some magic today, and love you.
So I see you again.